All right, everyone. Thank you for dropping into the Facebook 101 webinar today. Yeah, I see in the chat here, Rhonda from Austin says, Burr, it's cold. Yeah, I can't believe you guys got snow in Austin. That is out of control. That is out of control. I don't know what is going on. You're taking the snow here from Michigan. How much snow did we get? Like a foot? Probably a foot. And so my kids are home from school for the third day in a row. So if you hear any screaming in the background, it's my kids. All right, so what we're going to talk about today is Facebook. We're going to be very basic with Facebook. I'm just going to kind of teach you guys how to make a very simple Facebook ad. But just because it's simple doesn't mean that it's ineffective. So I just want you guys to understand that. So we're going to do Facebook lead generation. We're going to build a Facebook campaign around a listing. If you don't have a listing, that's okay. What you can do is ask somebody who does, if you can borrow it. That's really the best way, is to go to an agent in your office who has a listing and say, hey, would you mind if I, put $50 or $100 or $25 behind one of your listings so I can generate some buyer leads? I'm pretty sure they would say yes. Just make sure you ask permission. So that's what we're going to learn today. We're going to learn how to generate leads with a Facebook ad using a listing. So I'm going to jump into, before I start, a show of hands or anyone in the chat or watching on Facebook, tell us if you have used Facebook before in Command. Can you let us know? I just would be curious. Yes, you have. Lots of yeses, lots of yeses. What is, okay, there's some no's there. What's results been? Have results been good? Have they been They've been so-so? Have they been terrible? There's some There's some mehs, so-sos. There's some meh and some I'm pretty sure that's the same thing. Okay, cool. So it's good to know. Good to know. Some bad phone numbers and email addresses as well. That's to be expected with Facebook. But I know a lot of it has to do with your follow-up. If you're not following up a ton, then you're going to definitely miss the boat. And I will give you a smart plan that you can implement too. So I'm not just going to kind of like leave you in the lurch. I'm going to tell you what smart plan you can download and add to your campaign so you can start following up. What you have to understand about Facebook leads, though, is they tend to be a little further out in the pipeline. It doesn't mean that they don't want to buy a house. It just means that they might not be ready yet. And so doesn't mean they're not motivated, but what you have to do is just make sure you have that good long-term follow-up. Somebody who tells you, they're 9 months out from buying a house, they might just be 4 months out, because a lot of times with Facebook leads, they just don't have the information that's needed in order to make a purchase, because they're so far out in the pipeline. They're what's called top of funnel. So you got your Facebook leads at the top, you got your Google pay-per-click leads in the middle, and then you have your Zillow and Realtor.com leads at the bottom. Those are the ones who are like ready to buy a house right now. The Google leads are kind of like, in the middle. And then you have your Facebook leads that are right at the top. And it, like I said, it doesn't mean that they can't buy. It just means that they lack a lot of the information that would be necessary in order to buy a house. So one of the great things about Facebook is that you can be their teacher. You can be their guide. Okay. So let me share my screen and we're going to jump right into campaigns. Okay. Here's my campaign dashboard. And in between, like every so often, I'm going to check the chat to see if there's any questions. So don't worry, I'm not going to check the chat every few minutes. I'm going to check the chat, I'm not going to check the chat every minute or so. Probably every like 5 or 10 minutes, I'll check the chat to see if there's any specific questions that you guys have. All right, so let's do this. So here's my Facebook dashboard. And first, before I start, I want to choose a listing that I want to advertise. Okay. And so I just picked this pretty one here near my house. And I'm going to pretend that it's mine. You should never pretend that it's yours, but I'm pretending that it's mine for the sake of building an ad out. Like I said, if you don't have a listing to advertise, it would be nice to ask someone in your office if you can advertise one of their listings, get their permission. So let's say this is my listing, okay? I'm going to use this information. I just got to grab the MLS number here, and I'll show you what happens once we dive into the dashboard. So I am going to click Create Campaign, which is in the upper right-hand corner. It's a blue button. And then I'm going to do a social ad paid. You don't want to do any of these other ones right now. You want to do the very first one, social ad paid. And I'm going to give it a name. And it's just going to be the name of the property, 7875 Mount Tremblant. Okay. And for my goal, I'm just going to say that I'm attracting buyers. Your goal doesn't have anything to do with, your targeting options. It just has to do with, for your knowledge. So you know, like, why you created this ad. Okay. So I created this ad for the sole purpose of attracting a buyer, and I'm going to run the ad on Facebook, and I'm going to run the ad on Instagram. Now, you don't have to have an Instagram account to run ads on Instagram. What Facebook does is they will create like a ghost account for you, a dark account, which means that it's not a real account, but it looks like it. So it's an ad that looks like it's an Instagram account, but you do have to have a Facebook account with a business page. So that is what you do have to have. Okay. So then we're going to click create that campaign. And here's what's going to happen. I'm going to choose the listing from the Keller Williams multiple listing service, the KWLS. I'm going to choose that listing. So I'm going to click add listing. And I can, if I have a listing, it'll show up here under my listings. And if I don't have the listing, I'm going to have to come over here to the right-hand side corner and click all listings. Okay. And I can search for this listing multiple ways: property address, MLS number, or listing agent. I'm going to use the MLS number, and I'm just going to drop it right in there. And then I'm going to search for it. So it popped up. It's right there. Okay. I'm going to select this because what's going to happen is it's going to bring all the information that I need for the listing into the campaigns applet for me. It's going to bring in photos. It's going to bring in the description. It's going to bring all of this stuff. So I don't have to really do any heavy lifting when it comes to that type of thing. Okay, so then it's going to bring me the main photo from the KWLS. Okay, so it didn't bring in the photo, but that's okay. I can come down here to media. Let me just make sure. Yep, okay. Okay, so when I get to that point, I will work on that. Let me try this again. Let me do the MLS number, paste, search. Oh, because of, here we go. All listings, select, and got it. Okay, so now it brought in the text for me. It brought in the text from the MLS. And with the text, I'm going to want to probably edit that a little bit, just because sometimes if the agent isn't a very good copywriter, it's not going to be so great. So I'm going to delete this sentence here. So I like how it starts. Rare find, sprawling ranch with 4 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, full finished walkout basement, located in a nicely wooded cul-de-sac. I'm just going to add click learn more for info and price. You always want to have a call to action. Okay. Make sure you have that call to action to let the consumer know what you want them to do. Okay. Because if you don't tell them what you want them to do, there's a chance that they don't know. So clicking the learn more button at the bottom of the ad, right over here on the right-hand side of the ad on the bottom, will give them direction towards what action you want them to take. I'm also going to type this: new listing. Okay. Now, if you want to add emojis, you can do that. So there's a little smiley face emoji, and I'm just gonna grab a picture of a house. And I gotta move that house over here. Okay, so new listing, rare find, sprawling ranch with 4 bedrooms, 1.5 bath, 2.5 baths, full finished walkout basement located nicely wooded cul-de-sac. Click learn more for info and price. So that's a good description. It's not too long. Just a couple sentences. And then my headline is just gonna, again, be new listing. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this. And for the description at the bottom, I'm just gonna do this again. Click learn more for info and price. I'm just gonna copy and paste it. If there are any questions up till this point, please let me know. Otherwise, this is a very simple way to get started, okay? So now what I wanna do is I wanna save this. And let's go to media. Now, when I go to media, I click select media, and all of the photos from the listing show up because I selected the house from the KWLS. So all of the photos from the MLS come right in, which is awesome. So I don't have to upload anything. So let me show you again. When I click media and then select media, here's all the photos that I would need. So I can choose up to 5 different photos. So I'm going to choose this one for the front image because it looks really nice with the lights on. So preview. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose square all the time for best placements. And I'm just going to click this minus button and back it out a little bit, just like that. So I can see a little bit more and save the image. Then, actually, let me go and fix this. Crop image. Oh, reset. I'm going to change that a little bit here. Okay, let me delete this one. Okay, just pretend I didn't do that. There we go, because the logo is chopped off. All right, so now I'm going to add a couple more photos. Let's do the yard. Again, you're going to want to, when this picture pops in, I'm going to click the minus button again, because then it shows us as much of the photo as possible. Then I'm going to add 3 more photos and do the same thing. And 2 more photos so you guys get the full effect. Let's throw the kitchen in there. And 1 more photo. Maybe there's a bathroom. You want to make sure that you show all of the rooms that are important to people. So kitchens and bathrooms are important. You want to make sure that you're showing them as much of the house as possible with the 5 photos, because the more that you show somebody, the more inclined they are to give you their information. So if they feel like you're hiding stuff from them, they're not going to be as inclined. But if you're showing them from these 5 photos, 5 of the best pictures you can possibly come up with, then they feel like you're giving them something. And then so if they feel like you're giving them something, they're going to give you something, which is their info. So you can see the nice carousel of photos there. It's a nice looking house. All right, let's save that. And I have to upload a quick DBA logo. So I'm just going to add a Keller Williams logo. It wants you to have some sort of logo, even though it says Century 21. Just pretend it doesn't, okay? So we're going to save that. And then the next stage is Facebook and Instagram settings. This is the fun part. This is where we get to do some targeting and get in front of people that are important to us in terms of the types of people, the demographics, the target interests of people that would most likely want to look at a house like this, okay? So let's select our business page, and I will do that right now. So I select my business page and it switched over from Keller Williams to Superior Homes Group. Now I do have a question in the chat. Let's see. Oh no, there is no question in the chat. I thought there was. All right, cool. Now, after you've selected your business page, you want to make sure that you have, oh, there is a question. What if you don't want to use your business page? You have to run an ad. Facebook does not allow you to run ads with your personal page, only business pages. Okay. So in order to set up your business page, you have to go into settings, click here, and then under the apps, just connect your Facebook ads account. It's very, very simple. It's like 2 or 3 clicks. There's one more question in the chat. If you don't have an Insta account, where will it show? Yeah, so earlier in the call, I mentioned that if you don't have an Instagram account, you don't need one, because Facebook will create like a ghost account or like a dark account. It's called a dark post. And what that means is they'll create like a fake Instagram account for you. So like up here, you can see, like I don't have a Superior Homes Group Instagram account, but since I'm going to be running it on Instagram, here's an Instagram story. It'll look like this on Instagram, even though I don't even have an account with this name. Okay. Hope that makes sense. It kind of makes one for you. It makes one for you. There's one more question. What is the ownership statement? The ownership statement, here, let me go back to media. The ownership statement just says, like it says very, very small. Each office is independently owned and operated. Very, very small. So you can see it right here. Okay. That's what that is. All right. So save. It's not mandatory that you add that. It's an option. Okay. All right. So now let's go to targeting. So you want to make sure that your Instagram is on feed, because the feed in the news feed for Instagram gets more traction for this type of stuff than a story does. And then you want to make sure that you have the Facebook lead generation form checked, because if it's not, you're not going to get leads. Because Facebook has a form that pops up when someone clicks learn more. When someone clicks this button, learn more, it's going to pop up a forced registration, and it's going to have their info right there. It's going to say, like, basically, is your name Nick Baldwin? Is your email address Nick Baldwin at KW? Is your phone number this? So it's going to ask them that, and they'll click submit, and then you'll get that information into your account, into Command. You'll get notified on the Command app that someone has submitted their information. So make sure you have the lead generation form populated. That's how you're going to get full contact information. And you have the button, which is learn more. And now we want to enter the website URL for the listing. So I'm just going to grab this listing from my website right here. I'm going to copy that URL, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to delete this HTTPS semicolon / / and I'm going to delete that. Then I'm just going to paste the website URL right into the section where it asks for it. Okay, so there is a question. How do you find the form? You don't need to find the form. The form is already created for you. It just asks for name, email, and phone number. You don't need to look for that form. Facebook has it already for you. Don't even worry about it. Just click Facebook lead generation form option. That's all you have to worry about. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. If you forget to remove the HTTPS, it's just not going to be, it's just, here, I'll show you. I can't show you. Oh, so if I post this in here like this, it's going to say that it's going to give you this X. So you're not going to be able to run the ad. So delete that and paste. and then it's going to give you a check, which means it's good. All right. So now let's go to targeting. Let's go to targeting. Oh, what URL did I paste? Someone's asking. I pasted the listing URL from my website. That's all. Just the listing URL from my KW site. That's what I did. And that's where they'll be led to. So when they click learn more, the Facebook form will pop up and then they'll be sent to this web listing on my website. All right. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to use custom settings. Okay. There's another question in the chat. I'll get to those as soon as I get through this section. Okay. So we're going to use custom settings, and we're going to not necessarily target Clarkston, Michigan, which is where this house is located, only because my buyers might not be coming from Clarkston, Michigan. They might be coming from somewhere else. So if you know where your buyers are coming from, target that location. So for instance, I'm originally from Montclair, New Jersey, which is 10 miles west of Midtown Manhattan. My buyers, when I was selling in Montclair, New Jersey, they never came from Montclair, New Jersey. They typically came from New York City or Hoboken. If my Hoboken people on this call, you guys know, a lot of people move from Hoboken or New York City and they move to the suburbs like Montclair or Bloomfield. So if you live in a town, your buyers may not necessarily be coming from the town that the house is in. So in this instance, I'm going to X out of Clarkston. I'm actually going to do this. I'm actually going to do, I'm going to do, as an example, Detroit. And I'm going to do like a 40-mile radius. That's what I'm going to do. So Clarkston is about an hour north of Detroit. And people who move to Clarkston, they typically come from the Detroit area, or they'll come from a little bit north. But I'm going to do Detroit, Michigan as the center of the target, and I'm going to do a 40-mile radius around Detroit. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So if I were you, find out where your buyers are typically coming from, and then target that area with however much of a radius, 30, 40, you can go up to 50 miles and you can go as narrow as 15 miles. So now we want to target interests, and the interests help us get in front of people who may be interested in buying this house. So let's add some of those interests. And as soon as I add these interests, I get to those questions for you in the chat. So do not worry, guys. Here are some of the interests that I recommend using. Real estate. And I use real estate investing. Okay. And I'll also do mortgage. And I'll target people interested in mortgage loans, mortgage calculator, and mortgage insurance. I will do first time buyer. I'll do first time home buyer grant. I'll do FHA loan. Oh no, it's FHA insured loan. I'll do finance, because I want to target some higher net worth individuals, people interested in finance, people interested in their credit history, people interested in, let me think what else. Oh, Zillow. So people who like to look on Zillow, people who like to look on realtor.com. That's a good option. We can do Trulia. And let me think. Oh, this was a good one that I found the other day, because they're usually adding stuff. People interested in moving companies. So let's see what we got here. Feel free to take a quick snapshot of this if you want to start using these before you get the recording. real estate investing, people interested in real estate investing or mortgage loans or mortgage calculators or mortgage insurance, et cetera, et cetera. So these are good target options to get in front of people who have interest in real estate. Oh, there was a couple other ones actually that I forgot. So let me add a couple more. I like to use equity because then you can choose home equity loan, home equity line of credit. And I like to use for sale by owner. So these are some good ones too, because you may actually get in front of someone who is interested in selling their home. People interested in their home equity, people interested in home equity line of credit, people interested in for selling by owner. So those are good ones to get in front of too, because you might get a seller there. So those are some options for targeting that I tend to use regularly. So definitely grab a snapshot of that if you want to start doing this before you get the recording from me. So I'm going to save this. There's a few questions in the chat. I'm just going to jump in and see what they are. Let's see. Yeah, so Atlanta Keller Williams, if you have a single property landing page which feeds into a CRM, can we use that? Yes, you can. You don't have to use a URL on your KW site. You can use any URL you want. It can be from any website you want, so it doesn't have to be from your Keller Williams website. Lita is asking, could it be a third-party unique property URL? Yep, so that's essentially same question. Definitely, you can use any URL that you like. Doesn't have to be from your KW site. It can be from anything. Yeah, so Diane is asking, is it important to pull the listing up on your own KW website? So it's important to pull the listing from a website that you own or that's your website, because if the person decides they want to create an account, then they'll be on your website. So that's why it's important to use a URL from a site that's yours. So if they do decide to sign up and look and create an account, it'll be on your site. A lot of same questions about the different URLs. So Dave, is there a danger in checking too many interest options? No, there isn't. So there is not. So, well, okay. Yes, if they're not all related, right? So like, for example, let me show you. That's a good question, Dave. For example, these are all real estate related. So if I'm going to use a lot of interest, I want to make sure that they have the same, they have something in common, right? So like if all of a sudden I start to put in, football, that's not going to make sense. So then in that sense, yes, there could be a confusion there, right? So I would say that if you're choosing interests that are related, you could use, 10 or 12 or 15. It's not going to make a difference. Okay. So let me click out of here. So I hope that answers your question, Dave. That's a good one. Mary, awesome. Mary, you'll get the recording. So if you have to jump off, I appreciate the kind words. You'll get the recording since you registered for this. All right, cool. So let's move on. All right, lead settings. So this is where you can start doing some automation. All right. So the automation here would be adding tags and adding smart plans. Okay. So the tags that I'm going to want to add are for Facebook. I'm going to want to add a Facebook lead as a tag. Now, if you don't have Facebook lead, you can add it. So let's say I wanted to add a tag 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which obviously I wouldn't, but because it doesn't mean anything. I could create a new tag. So you're not going to have Facebook lead in there unless you've created it. So if you want to use Facebook lead as a tag, you're going to type Facebook lead, then you're going to click create new tag, then you're going to give it a color, and then you're going to click add. And then that tag will be forever in your system. Okay. I'm also going to add say Michigan. I might do Clarkston. Okay. So just some ideas there for you. So the tags you could use are like where the lead came from. So in this instance, it would be Facebook, and maybe a town, right? Or a state, a certain location, that could help you identify those people later on when you're looking up people, right? So if I wanted to look up everyone looking in Clarkston, I have that tag, they would all come up. Same for Michigan and same for Facebook leads, okay? So now I want to assign a smart plan because I want to do my follow-up. And so you can easily go to the smart plan library and download a smart plan. And the one that I'm suggesting you use is this one, revised. And that's just because I updated it. So you can find it in the smart plan library. Town/property specific Facebook follow-up. So if you go to the smart plan library and you type in my name, you can download that smart plan. Okay, type in my name under author, download that smart plan, and then just read through it so you know what it says. You don't have to do any editing to it. It's plug and play. It's ready to go for you. It starts off with, hey Shane, it's Nick with Keller Williams. You were looking at houses on Facebook. You might not be in the market to make a purchase just yet, but I was just curious, is that an area of interest to you? Or is that an area you're interested in? It's very, very plug and play, ready to go. You don't have to customize it. It's already done for you. So if you go to the smart plan library in your smart plans and you type in my name under author and find revised town property specific Facebook follow-up, download it, and then you can assign it right here. Okay, once you get to this part. And so what happens is when the leads come in, they automatically get tagged, and then the smart plan automatically starts. So we're going to save that. Now there's a couple of questions. Let me jump in and see what they are. Does targeting work well in Canada? Aaron, yes. I have some private clients in Canada, and the targeting does. Just don't use Zillow and Realtor.com because you guys don't have that, but the targeting works well in Canada. So no worries there. I create ads for agents in Canada and it works. Let's see. I found that just putting a listing address as a tag helps and keeps things simple. Anthony, yes, there's no wrong way to do a tag. Whatever is easier for you. I do suggest Facebook lead as a tag just because it helps you remember where they came from. But otherwise, there's no wrong tag. Whatever helps keep your database organized. Okay. Do you have a preference of tag and add to smart plan here, or have the tag? Shane, I'm not sure I understand your question. So why don't you message me on Facebook? And then we'll talk about it. I'm not sure I understand the question, or have the tag. Yeah, just message me on Facebook, Shane. All right, cool. Now we're going to go to duration and budget. So by default, they're going to give you a 10-day period. You don't have to advertise for 10 days. They're going to give you 10 days and $30 to start with. And they're not going to give you $30, like literally. But they're going to give you a 10-day period of starting the ad and put $30 here in the campaign budget. But you can do whatever you want. Personally, I never spend less than $50 on an ad, and it's usually $10 a day. And that's just because I found that to be a sweet spot. $50 for 5 days, maybe 7. Sometimes I'll go to like $7.50 a day or whatever. But this is how you do it. So it's going to start the next day or start whatever day you want. But by default, they need up to 24 hours to review your ad. And then let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 4 days. So 5 days. $50. And I'm going to, since I'm using Instagram, you're going to want to use this automatic placements for Facebook and Instagram. Okay, why? Because Facebook uses their algorithm to intelligently spend your money based on the audience and performance. So what that means is I'm spending $10 a day, but I'm letting Facebook dynamically spend my money. So it's going to start me off with $5 a day on Facebook and $5 a day on Instagram. But if for some reason my ad is not performing well on Instagram, it's going to move that $5 and put it into Facebook. Now, if you choose distribute evenly across channels, then it's not going to do that. It's just going to charge you $5 a day on both platforms all the time. So using automatic placements for Facebook and Instagram is your best bet. So let it decide how much to charge as the ad goes. Okay. So $10 a day total, $5 on each platform, and it will dynamically spend your money to get you the most maximum results. So my ad is complete. We can see how it looks on the web. We can see how it looks on mobile. And we can see how it looks in an Instagram ad. Okay. So that is my ad. So when I'm ready to go, I just click publish and choose my credit card and create the campaign. Now I'm not going to run this. I just wanted to show you guys how to do it. And that's basically how you do it. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and jump in and see if there's any questions for me specifically. Charity, can you have multiple audiences? Michigan, Nevada, you got to run 2 different ads for that. You can't do it. You can't have 2 different locations in one ad. Okay, so Jan is asking, is there a big difference running an ad on Facebook compared to running it on command? Yes, there's a big difference, a couple differences. One, it's much easier to run it through command because our Facebook campaign applet in command is set up for real estate. Okay. So Facebook, going into Facebook specifically, will ask you, is this a special category? Meaning, are you running a housing ad? And so there's a good chance that your ads get declined much easier on Facebook or much more often on Facebook than they do within command, because command is set up for housing. Facebook directly, they get very nervous about people running ads with housing because they've been sued before. 2, the cost per lead through command is typically much less. And that's because, here's the reason. So let's say we've got 160,000 command accounts at the top, and it's a funnel. So think of it like, like a funnel, like you're pouring water into like that triangle thing. So at the top is all the command accounts. At the bottom is the little KW marketing budget. So when Nick Baldwin goes on Facebook directly and spends $50, Facebook just sees, oh, Nick Baldwin spent $50. Think about like going to Costco, right? If you go to Costco and you buy, a 20-gallon jug of ketchup, it's going to be less expensive or the same price of buying a 20-ounce jug of ketchup at the supermarket because you're buying in bulk. So what's happening is when you go to command and you spend $50, Facebook doesn't say, oh, Nick Baldwin spending $50. It's saying, oh, Keller Williams is spending another $50. So it's like 7 figures of ad spend at any given moment going through command. So it's giving us a lower cost per lead because of the amount of money is being spent. So I hope that makes sense. So there's a lot more benefit. And I think the average cost per lead across our company is like $225 or something. So you might see a much higher cost per lead on Facebook than you do on command. So there's a couple of reasons why. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys. Thanks, Nathan, for the lab coach shout out. Love you guys. Lita, if you're confused about tags, shoot me an email, nickbaldwin@kw.com. I can answer your questions there. I'll send out this recording to everyone who's on this so you guys can dig deeper into it. I appreciate you being on. If you're having a snow day like me, stay warm. If you're not having a snow day and you're in the sun, we're not friends anymore. No, I'm just kidding. Everyone have an amazing day, and just give me a couple days and I'll get this recording out to you guys. All right, we'll see you soon. Have a great one.